Apple, they've been hinting at this for a long time in the news. Tim Cook has been all hush-hush about it, but indeed they have been working on a self-driving car. It has been seen out here in the news. Looks kind of like my friend's Subaru before they stock it up with all of the kayaks. But you can see that the Apple self-driving car is driving around there in California. They did get permits, unlike Uber. They actually did get permits to do this kind of stuff. And I just have to say I'm sorry, I cannot resist. But in their self-driving car, not even apples can get away from Windows. Had to be said. Had to be said. But if this doesn't terrify you enough on the West Coast, you're now not really any safer here on the East Coast, because the governor of New York has granted Manhattan to be in early testing place early 2018. We are less than 6 months out for level 4 fully automated vehicles driving through the streets of New York City, and I'm just thinking there's going to be death in the streets. Just thinking about all of those Uber whoopsies where there were people in the car having to pay attention. Never mind the fact they never got permission. But they were in there, never really had any of that permission stuff. And then, we had these Uber cars running red lights and not stopping for pedestrians and stuff like that. This is legal, allowable in the streets of Manhattan. It's going to be like, what was that movie? Where all of the cars were taken over, I think maybe by hackers. But yeah, so the governor of New York has announced that in early 2018, or is it early? Oh, early 2018 testing, possible late 2000 authorizing fully autonomous vehicles. I think I misspoke that a little bit. So it's or is it the first year? I read the article. Based on reading the article a little bit ago, it is early 2018. Fully autonomous cars will be testable on the streets of New York City. Like, we're not, okay, it's one thing to have these types of cars driving around Nevada, where there's like a grand total of like 4 people and, well, never mind, I was going to throw in a bad joke. I used to live in Nevada, so, we're going to throw out a bad joke about they probably need to be hit anyway, but, we don't want to do that. But this is the streets of Manhattan, people. Fully autonomous cars that, there's supposed to be somebody in there, but he's going to be there, of course, he's going to be a distracted driver. But anyway, you can drive through the streets now. West Coast, you got the Apple cars. East Coast, I think these were GM. And what cars were these? GM and Cruise applying to be testing in Manhattan. So that's exciting to know that there's going to be some cars driving through the streets. Of course, it's okay. You can walk because Google was going to tell you your calorie counts. They wanted to tell you your calorie counts. But alas, a lot of people got their butt hurt of this. Oh, if I have ED, this could trigger me eating cupcakes. And are you implying I'm fat? And other people saying, the cupcake is pink, so you must be targeting this to women. And so out of outcry, Google Maps has removed the thing that told you approximately how many calories you're going to burn by walking on the maps. I don't see the outrage about the fact that Google is tracking everything that you're doing, storing all those points for online access later. Whoever knows who else can see the information where you happen to be and selling that to all of your data. You'd think that that'd be a bigger deal than the fact that walking this distance will burn 100 calories. So, I don't know, but apparently a lot of people got their butt hurt. And they're telling me how many calories this walk is gonna burn. No, this could trigger my ED. It's pink. Well, what is this? Is this quote? Let's see. Oh, yeah. They claimed using, the Hills Taylor Lorenz notes in her tweets, there is no way to turn off the feature. Lorenz also claimed using pink cupcakes as a unit of measure was low-key aimed at women. Do they have a picture of this pink cupcake? Oh, God. I'm just, yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But that's okay because the end of the world is coming anyway. Because now we happen to have an individual AI was developed here using the Go playing algorithm. They basically created the new AI structure, and what they did is with the Go game is they simply set the thing out with rules. And after playing a few hundred matches, now this thing can beat the best human players in 89 out of 100 matches. So we're working on better AI. The significance about this AI is that the previous AI, it still had to be human taught. But in this case, they gave it the rules, and then they gave it the ability to analyze each move in the scope of how the game is going to determine which moves led to a better game and which moves led to a worse game. And so here we have an AI structure that is now self-teaching, and so that is kind of what's going on in that particular respect. So you had to keep that in mind. So this is the beginning of Skynet. The AI is now self-learning, self-determining. We may as well just call this guy Skynet because it's just going to go ahead and take over the universe. Absolutely. All right, so what's new in the Windows world? I pulled out a few different articles here. Two of these are from the Windows blogs. Just an update. The Fall Creators Update was rolling out this week that probably not many of my readers and followers have probably had much experience with. But yeah, they did release a new Windows Fall Creators Update. And what's new? Most of the biggest news is that they're rolling out a whole lot of things for VR implementation. And the VR is interesting. Like, they're trying to get this whole 3D mix. And I'm wondering, like, as cool as 3D is, and as much as I think that 3D adds a lot, I just can't see Microsoft having robust tools that allow the creativity that you need to make something good. Like, as somebody who does a nominal amount of work with Blender and with other 3D things like that, working with 3D images is very complicated. And there's what I can see Microsoft doing, not having played with any of it, is that you can easily drop various predefined things in, which means it's really not even true 3D. But we're talking about, like, on Blender or 3ds Max, you can get in there, you can build models with polys, make stuff happen, put specific skins on, do the graphic work, and actually build 3D objects. I don't know if you can do that with all these, but they're making a huge deal about putting a lot of 3D elements. 3D elements now can go into PowerPoint, they can go into your Paint programs, and they're doing a whole lot with augmented and virtual reality. So they're doing a whole lot here for VR sets, which are kind of becoming really big. Even I was walking through, I think, Staples the other day, and I started to encounter just cheap VR headsets all over the place. But what Microsoft is doing is just a whole lot of the ability to do 3D effects. But as you can see from these 3D effects, if you've actually done true 3D work, this is not true 3D work. This is taking essentially what might you call these? There's a term for it. I forget what it is. But you just take pre-developed 3D elements, kind of like you'd have a series of swatches or brushes in Photoshop, or better, GIMP does this really well, where you have a series of things you can just grab. You can see what they're doing here in the panels. You're grabbing a lot of pre-developed things and dropping them into these elements. This is not true 3D work. This is essentially fake 3D work. So it kind of cheapens the entire effect of 3D. And so, then you got this one. This picture's exciting. So, yeah, what is this parent doing to their poor child? Putting them in a room with a shark? Oh, wait, hold on. That's just a 3D image. But regardless, this is not really that type of stuff that's really has a good, useful business application. Because we have another question about who owns the copyright of these types of things. It's one thing that, we're doing what might appear to be a Skype call of some form, or maybe we're just taking a camera or a picture. So you're dropping a picture of a 3D shark on top of the world, a simple augmented reality. What application does this really have in the world? Sure, I can take a picture at the Grand Canyon with a shark flying through the air and say Sharknado 17.2. I don't know. It just seems more gimmicky. This, to me, reminds me of the iPhone 10 with the emoji cons that will follow your facial features so you can literally be a talking piece of crap. Okay, that's all this comes off to me as. I just don't see anything real here as far as a real benefit or a real use. Now, this was a neat one. You can take certain contacts out of your box and you can pin these to the taskbar. Of course, you know what I feel about pinning things to the taskbar, but I gotta say that this is a neat functionality where you can pin a contact into a bar. You can come down, right-click it, and choose, are you gonna send a message via Skype or shoot them an email or whatever else. This is a neat idea. Hey, Linux guys, let's get this. I'm sure somebody already has it out there, but this seems like a cool functionality. Let's borrow it. If they didn't already steal it from us, I don't know. And then, of course, here's quick access to people. This is that case where you can take this bar, you can drag it down to the contact, and then you can just kind of share it, share contacts. Cortana, of course. Now you can do Cortana stuff from the lock screen. Now you can even shut down the computer with Cortana. See what I mean? It's like, this is not practically useful stuff. Hey, Cortana, shut down the computer now. I mean, and I apologize, I just shut somebody down. I mean, jeez. But regardless, this is more gimmicky. Is it really that hard to shut down your computer? I mean, really? Really? Is it really that hard to shut down your computer? Oh boy. All right. So, of course, we have some Edge. Now, there's a new function which is only for the Enterprise editions where you can now open up Microsoft Edge tabs in its own virtual machine so that if there's something infected, it won't affect the rest of the computer or the rest of the browser. Actually, I had one of these cases today on the Linux system when I was preparing for this. One of the source articles I went to, I noticed it was doing a lot of weirdness in the background, and so I closed the tab down. But then I closed down all the other tabs and I go to go up to another news site, and there was some type of hijack going on in the browser, which I simply shut the browser down and restarted it, and that went away. But, you know, it's just an interesting take that is a good implementation where you can take a individual browser tab and isolate that into its own virtual environment. So that's actually a pretty good thing. Annotating your books, this is not a real good image of this, but this one kind of is driving me crazy because it gave you the ability to have some type of pop-up overlay asking questions, kind of like the old note fashion, only instead of being notes on the side, it's popping right up over the top. And that, to me, seems more annoying than anything else. Pin your favorite websites to the taskbar. So, yes, you can put all of your favorite websites right down at the bottom of the taskbar to minimize that cause of going up there and searching for it. So, of course, Microsoft now, of course, knows what your favorite websites are. Oh, boy. Microsoft Store rebrands itself, so it now just says Microsoft Store everywhere. From your Xbox to your Windows, computer, whatever else. This is an interesting one, a ransomware protection, which I wanted to get more information on this. I couldn't find any other information, but it seems like this is a cloud-type technology, basically protecting your files against ransomware attacks. I'm guessing by keeping a copy of all of those files in a cloud, and if it detects some radical change, encryption type change, then it will take that information, it will pass them back over to back onto the file structure. So I was not able to get more information on this one, but basically it's a ransomware protection system, which frankly you can have by, I don't know, maybe an offline data backup. I mean, if a hacker can encrypt this drive without busting into my house, I'll be very impressed. Oh boy, staying productive. So continue on your PC. So yet, the same function that Apple's had for a while, where you can get your phone and just pass the information over, back over to the computer. So whether that's good or bad, I just can't think of a task I'd be doing on the phone that I have to pass it over to the PC to continue looking at tabs on system anyway. But I don't think that's going to do, because Edge isn't on any smartphone that's out there, and Edge is the only thing you're going to be able to have implemented into the system. So I doubt you could share your browser tabs, maybe Skype calls, but if you happen to reign in the land of unicorn land. Oh boy, Microsoft Launcher. Which one's this one? I forget this one. Quick swipe to the right, launcher for Android. Offers a tailored feed of your important events. Okay. This one's OneDrive Files on Demand is a nice feature. I believe, to my understanding, I think the old version, when it was still called like SkyDrive or something, had this. And OneDrive kind of removed the functionality, which caused a little bit of an issue, and they brought it back. Basically, give you a list of all of the files in your computer, but it doesn't actually store them on the computer. But if you want it, you can click on it and drag it over to the computer easily. So that's a neat functionality. So there's some good stuff there. Find your pen. It can tell you where you last inked your computer to help you find your pen. Yeah. Add a clapper to your pen. I don't know. Pen is a PowerPoint clicker. Okay, so all of a sudden, do I have a clicky pen? Oh, I do have a clicky pen, yeah. So all of a sudden now, the annoyance becomes a whole new thing at a conference. You can do PDF annotations, better PDF viewing, currency converters, covering your PIN. Yeah, here's more augmented reality. PC gaming boost. There's a gamer mode. We're going to talk a little bit more about PC gaming here in a few minutes. Again, here's another one. It's like, okay, so you've grabbed a pre-built model of a satellite and you've dropped it somewhere. How does that 3D work? It's really not. It's just taking your crappy stuff. Like, you know what I see with this? I see a whole lot of people, you see this in the church environments I walk around a lot, where you got the graphics guy who really doesn't know anything about graphic design. He just likes playing on Photoshop, and he always volunteers to build your church bulletins or whatever else. And this just means that now they can put pre-designed, basically 3D clip art into the same crappy stuff they're already making. That's all I see this as. 3D clip art. That's all. Is this anything more than 3D clip art? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. Can I actually build models with full polys and drop in skins on this stuff? That's what I want to know. I'm inclined to believe the answer is probably no. You want something like that? How about 3ds Max? How about Blender? So that's what they had to say about that. Of course, the other tab from Microsoft, it's just a whole lot of getting the system ready to do a lot of things with virtual reality, augmented reality, things like that. Of course, here's that horrible parent putting his child in a room with a shark again. Like 3D offers the next boost to human productivity. This is 3D clip art. This is not human productivity boost. I don't even know what you're talking about. Ooh, I can put 3D clip art onto the brochures now. Okay. All right. A lot of the same stuff we've already seen. All right, so for you gamers, I'm curious to know about this. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing that Windows is including a optional True Play section so that we could identify cheaters in their gaming system? And so let me know what you think. What's going on with this? So, yeah, I was ransomware. All right, what's going on with this? So this is a very divisive issue, and basically it's a thing. Now, this is funny because note this up here. It says optional True Play. Protects the game memory, monitors OS for common cheating patterns. And then down here, let's see. Monitors gaming sessions. Let's see. Okay, so Game Monitor, users that don't opt in won't be able to play the games with True Play implemented, though as the setting notes, turning this off may limit the games you can play. So is it optional or is it not? If my options are to not play the game or implement true play, it sounds as though I don't have an option. Okay? And so I'm curious for you gamers, what is up with this? Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? To my understanding, and I'm not a gamer. I don't play video games very frequently at all. And what my question happens to be is... people using third-party apps to prevent game cheating, or is it good that Microsoft has it? And with Microsoft having this, they're collecting a lot of data, although they say they don't collect any data unless something that could be cheating is detected. Do you believe them? Do you trust them when they say they're not collecting any data? What information is being collected in the midst of all of this? Because it's literally scanning the memory. It's seeing what's going on while you're playing the game. It's looking at other system processes. That's what we do now. Do we feel comfortable with Microsoft having that type of information? That's the question that I have. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And so it's basically an anti-cheating. So like I said, I looked through a lot of comments here. This is a divisive issue. Some people are like, this is really good. Some people are like, this is really bad. If you play video games, let me know. Is this good or is this bad? And for the last exciting article, so Reuters reports that there was actually a data leak in Microsoft in 2013, and Microsoft looked everything over and said, we're not going to tell anybody about it. Now, what was leaked, what was hacked into is Microsoft has a database of known bug reports, ways to hack into a system. Basically they have a working database of a whole lot of known system hacks, and then they use this database as they're rolling out security updates and whatever else to make a system more secure. So probably it's a database used to triage what is important and what is not important. You know, the font turns green if you go to X, Y, or Z program. You know, that's not a very serious critical thing, but you know, going to your bank's website or visiting Equifax causes every bit of data on your computer to suddenly leak in plain text onto the field. Okay, why fix that? Equifax has leaked everything anyway. But anyway, this database was hacked into, and it was high-profile hackers, but it wasn't Microsoft. They were not the only ones hit by this. Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and there was a fourth one. I think it was Twitter. I can't remember. But basically, a bunch of hackers got into this bug tracking database, which made it easy to exploit a lot of zero-day exploits on Microsoft products, all sorts of products, because these were things that weren't generally known in the wild. And this brings us back to that issue with Linux, where while there might be more bugs and issues and vulnerabilities reported on Linux, we have to remember that Linux is a community-supported system. Once something is reported, it's usually patched well before a zero-day can hit it. Okay, but on Microsoft, all of these things are kept completely hidden unless a security researcher or Microsoft tells you about it. So Microsoft is patching a lot of stuff without ever telling anybody what it is. And that's a danger in this case where these hackers got away with this database, because now you have hackers having access to a whole lot of information that nobody else knows is out there except the very company that has an interest in not telling the public. It's kind of like, what was that movie, where the meteor's coming on Earth, and it's like, okay, do we tell the Earth that it's about to be smashed by a giant planet-sized meteor? Or do we not tell the Earth and keep it hidden because we don't want the panic? It's kind of that same type of thing. Well, that's the thing that with Linux, while there's a lot of vulnerabilities out there, there are also vulnerabilities that are patched. That are out there that are, the community knows about them, and the community will take care of them as they're a level of importance. But with this at Microsoft, they intentionally hid this. This is 2017. This thing happened 4 years ago, and they simply chose not to tell anybody about it. And it begs a question. What else can people get? And when will Microsoft tell them about it? Okay, so they're getting in, and we'll talk about this in a later article here. Facebook's dealing with the same question. I mean, it's bad enough that Equifax is hacked. What happens if Facebook is hacked? Because they have a whole lot of data, plus a whole lot of extra data, plus whatever Equifax has already sold them. So this is scary. And if Microsoft, with Windows 10, they're collecting all of this data about us without us knowing what it is, without being upfront about it, storing all of this data, this is a hacker's dream. And if it took them 4 years to release information about this hack, when are they going to release information if their actual data servers get hacked? If hackers actually compromise all of this data about us as users using their products? That's a question I have for them. And I'm curious what you think about that. All right, so yet another very fun, exciting thing to watch out for. Okay, people with children, avoid technology with children. Like, get them devices that don't connect to the internet, that hackers can't be able to get in and track the geolocation and the images and spy on your children with the cameras on them. Okay. Because in this case here, now we have kids' smartwatches. Now, of course, the campaign for commercial-free childhood, which, by the way, the campaign for commercial-free childhood led the way for Mattel to actually put a nail in the coffin of Aristotle. Now, it'll probably come back in a few years when people are more used to smart home devices like Google Now and Amazon Echo and all these other home devices. I bet Aristotle is going to make a comeback. I think they probably looked at it and said, this is too early. Let's revisit it in a few years when more people are used to it. Because when you look at how economics works, you have this, I have to try and do it from this angle here. When a new technology is introduced, you have first what you have is called a pre-knee phase in economics, where people are really starting to gain the adoption. And then the place where you want to be is in that very first leg of growth, because what happens is you get this mass exponential growth up to this spike up of your data usage, and then it kind of starts to teeter up, and then it starts to fall. The problem is with home devices, we're still on that very early phase where it's really not all that common, and more people are speaking against it. You know, lunatics like me who actually watch this stuff. But even for the regular user who's not as worried about this stuff, you know, even my friends that say, I have nothing to hide, also don't have Google Homes and Amazon Echoes, because it's just too new of a product. But as the product will phase up and more people will get them, that's when Mattel's going to be looking for it. They're going to be looking at the adoption rates when the house, and when it hits right at the beginning of that shooting up phase, I bet that they're going to reintroduce it at that point in time. But it was the campaign for the commercial-free childhood that really led the way to leading the cause, and they're behind this one as well, warning people about these devices for kids. Okay, for children, it is my belief, if they need a cell phone, don't give them a smartphone. This is a very expensive device. If you have kids, they drop stuff. They leave their cases off of their $700 phones, and whoops, one drop without a case, it's done. And so you have that kind of stuff going. If you need your kids to have a smartphone because you're worried about them, get them a flip phone that doesn't have data. You can call them, you can text them. Are they going to be behind their friends? Yes, and they're going to be safer. Okay? Don't get them these toys that spy on them. Don't get them toys that have interaction. Don't get them tablets. Give them an appropriate amount of monitored screen time. And don't give them these things like this. Now, what is the downside? Of course, there is a side that part of this almost makes sense. Maybe if I had a kid, I would want him to have some type of bracelet on that I could track where he's at. That'd be a good security protocol, as long as I know that thing's safe. The problem is, though, is a lot of these products and services, my biggest concern is that all of these types of things store this data of you in the cloud. And that means it's hackable. It's available. But in this case here with these smartwatches for kids, these things, like Android devices, they're not updatable. Like, if you're expecting to get crack attack on your Android phone, just get a new Android phone. Okay? Because you're probably not getting a security update for your Android phone anytime soon, particularly if you're on an older phone. Like this one, I think runs 4.4. It can't be updated. Fortunately, I don't really use it for anything other than just tracking my time for running. It's a glorified MP3 player with a GPS tracker that has no connection to me because it's a burner phone. So, and I never put minutes on it once. So, but what you're doing with all of these things is they're getting into this market where you're getting these kids these smart devices. They're kind of scaled down versions of the excessively expensive stuff that we have, but these things have cameras in them. They have internet connectivity. They have GPS, and they're not really updated. And so what happens is a hacker can get into these things, whether it be proximity through Bluetooth, or whether it could be through a wireless, whether it could be compromising an app on your phone or on their phone, or whether it be hacking the database this stuff stores into. These devices are inherently insecure. A lot of them do violate the COPPA laws. There's a lot of problems with the data collection. In fact, here is your top 4 brands and how they relate to these things. Consent to audit registration. Well, this one does a good job of that. I'll be notified if terms of service change. Nope. Personal data will not be used for marketing. No. We don't know. No. And by the way, the green check mark means that they're checked. This is good. Okay, so I'll be notified. Okay, this means that no, you will not be notified. This means that no, your information is basically, this means that your information will probably be used for marketing. We don't know, and yes, it will be used for marketing. Can I delete data in the app? Okay, this is one of those problems with an iOS device. You can't go in and actually delete the data. An Android device, you can. Here, you cannot delete the data in the app. Location data is automatically deleted after a set period of time. Nope. So this means if your kid is wearing this, a hacker could literally watch your kid. They know what time they go to the bus stop, when they get on the bus, when they're in school, when they leave school, when they go on recess, when they're coming home, when the parents are home in many cases, where their bedroom is in their house. This is the level of data these things can get. And a hacker getting this information, this is creepy. Is made clear where personal data is transmitted and stored? Nope. So there are a lot of problems with these devices, and we have to be very careful about these things. That these devices are not good devices for you to have on your on your kids. So be wary of that. Of course, the next article here is Los Angeles Police Department. They are going to be testing drones. How exciting. The LA Police Department will be testing drones. Of course, some people are like, facial recognition. Some people are like weapons. They are specifically stating that it would be illegal for them to put facial recognition or weapons on these drones, but maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. We don't know. But anyway, it was actually a big controversial thing. Most citizens are really against this, but they said, no, we're going to run this pilot program where now they can deploy drones with cameras to do more surveillance. So kind of interesting, kind of scary, but I think that's kind of where we're at. Of course, Amazon wants to be everywhere. In fact, let me just go ahead and read this first paragraph because this is creepy. Amazon wants Alexa voice assistant to be everywhere you are, in your home, on your phone, and now in your car, and even in your bed. Creepy. But regardless, Garmin has teamed up with Amazon to produce a Garmin Speak with Amazon Alexa. So now you can have Amazon Alexa in your car too. Isn't this awesome? So pretty much we have this little LED guy, which will give you directions to where you're going, I guess, without the cool graphical interface. I wonder if you can program multiple languages into this thing. But basically, it's just an Echo Dot, so now it can spy on you in your car, too. I don't know if this thing has a camera on the front, but this is just like... Is anyone getting the impression that maybe Amazon should be called 1984 Big Brother? I mean, they're getting the effectively the tele screens. It has the screen on it with the camera that's constantly listening. They may or may not be watching you, but they could be watching you at any given time. And the fact that you don't know is hold on, that sounds like a book. Yeah. But regardless, I think that this is kind of a scary thing in that respect because Amazon's getting too much information. It's getting to the point where I'm actually to that point where I will not use an Amazon app on a phone. Absolutely not. And I'm really starting to think about putting Amazon in my host files to block it, except for exclusive computers that I want to use to order things. Of course, I'm not storing any of the data, like any credit or payment information on there. I'm using now everything I do on Amazon is now being used. I'm paying cash with the gift card system. And some orders I'm shipping to my address, some orders I'm shipping to pickup locations. But this Amazon is getting creepy. Amazon's just getting creepy, in my opinion. It's getting creepy. It's getting too big. So that's kind of my thought on that. Security stuff. A couple hacks to be aware of. If you happen to use your credit card at Pizza Hut, watch out. They were hacked. They released the information. It looks like they released the information last week. Some people are like, hey, thanks for letting us know for a couple days, Pizza Hut. Oh, shut up. Equifax kept a major data breach secret for 6 weeks. Give Pizza Hut a little bit of a slack. But yeah, Pizza Hut was hacked. So if you do shop at Pizza Hut, careful there. Check your credit card statements. Make sure, what's that guy's name? Carl Stewart. Make sure Carl Stewart's not trying to steal $1,500 from your account. Of course, Hyatt has another breach. This one here looks like it's a small breach. Only like 4 U.S. hotels were apparently impacted. But if you have stayed at a Hyatt recently, go to Hyatt's website. You can click into the available locations, choose the location. Apparently, they were seriously hacked in China. But you can look for the various locations that they were hacked and find the dates. So 2 credit card hacks. Update on Crack Attack. Of course, here's a website about it. So if you do want to know more about Crack Attack, check out this website. This is from the guy that actually discovered the security information. So you can come over here. Basically, the major vulnerability, you would have to be in close proximity. So it's most important to update a computer you're taking out of your house if you're going to a computer like a coffee shop, or if you're in a public location with trying to access any type of Wi-Fi. You want to make sure your system is updated. This is a client issue, not an access point issue. So it doesn't matter if the access point is updated or not. So don't be alarmed if you don't see access points updating. It's a client update issue that needs done. But any device that you take out in public regularly, or that regularly is used around proximity to other people. So if you live in the middle of nowhere in the country, probably not a big deal for you. If you are out and about with people or in a big city, it's a big deal for you. Of course, there is a way to access this by injecting ransomware and things onto websites, so be aware of that. But you can check out this whole site here for details about it, so you can grab that information. Of course, since we're talking about data leaks, security, and things, Facebook security expert, like the Facebook security senior manager, basically said, yeah, we're having a really hard time fighting back the hackers. They're going to get in eventually. It's just a matter of when. So make sure you're keeping track of what type of data is on your Facebook account. Not that you have much choice, because anything you choose not to give Facebook, they just buy from third-party vendors like Equihacks. So in reality, Facebook, and we have to start thinking of these big conglomerate social media sites, Facebook and Amazon, these should be huge, huge, huge sites to watch out for. You got to be careful with these sites, and just make sure that these sites are going to have a lot of information about you. And hopefully that that's something that you want to keep tabs on or whatever. But at the same token, what you want to make sure is that that you're just being cautious with the data you share. And I'd say confuse Facebook's data as much as you possibly can. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that because whatever. And we'll end this on a positive note. Google is now probably more advertising this more because this is the functionality that you could have a long time ago, but they're really starting to advertise this now with the Advanced Protection Program. Basically using a YubiKey to do a physical thing. I didn't grab my keys. Hold on. All right. So basically what these are is a physical YubiKey. So you'd use one of these guys to physically access, basically physically locks your device, your account. And so what happens with these is you use these guys to physically lock your account. This one's from Yubico. So you physically lock your account with these, and somebody to hack into your account would have to physically get this device. Now, of course, downside, if you physically lose this device, you're out of water. But it does provide itself a very good level of security in that instance there. So keep that kind of stuff in mind, that this is a functionality that you can attach to your Google account. So this is if you have a high security, or if you are forced to use a Google account and you do have sensitive data in there, you want to prevent hackers, this is one of the best ways to do it. So consider that as well. So that's where we're going to end the show today. All right, so that brings us to the end of the news. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help support us at Switch to Linux, check out switchtolinux.com/support. You can learn about the ways to help support us. Currently, we have Patreon, we have some direct PayPal links, and we have Amazon links down below. So thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.